Hi guys, this is extremewirehead for another list, if whatever the title is. This is where I talk about something that was one of those medias, one of those things that really stuck out to me and really brought home the fact that the world's an amazing place and there's lots of interesting things that you can see. So far, I've covered some cartoons, some video games. Now let's try something a little bit different. If you recall, maybe a couple of years ago, I don't know if you've ever heard it, but of course there was the most popular and most acclaimed Lord of the Rings, and more recently things like the very serious, very dark Game of Thrones. Those are both great series in their own right. I do have trouble with how Lord of the Rings was written, but in terms of high fantasy, it's a nice show. It's quite interesting. Lots of interesting things happen, and that's all good. But what I'm here to talk about is something completely different. Sometimes, and this isn't always, you get a show that tries to break down facts, tries to break down ideas, and repurpose them to shed better light without directly inferencing them. And that's probably the most important point. You have something that is important, but nobody wants to talk about it. So you package it into what is essentially just a fantasy, a fiction, what have you. And that is the basic premise of the Discworld series by Terry Pratchett. I've got a book here somewhere. Yeah, right there. Great book series. Sadly, the author is no longer with us, but I think it's important to take note, mostly because I don't think there's ever going to be another one under his legacy, that the series takes one of those amazing routes of, let's make a ridiculous world. Try to apply logic to it. Fail. Try to apply even more logic to it. Fail some more. Then, bring in the most important thing, which is humor. And that's probably what stuck out to me as maybe, what was I, 9 years old when I first read these books. And honestly, a 9-year-old really shouldn't be touching these books because they're pretty weird. And it only goes downhill from there, because that was maybe one of the first few books. Every maybe 2 years, a year, he was releasing books about different strange ideas, about libraries, about the topic of gender inequality, about growing up, about death, and the importance of choosing, and about growth, living with those choices, understanding that there is a time and a place to things, religion. He delves into a lot of topics, and he does it tastefully. Importantly, he does it very tastefully, and that's probably what makes it amazing. But what probably amazes me the most is he makes up these ridiculous high fantasy situations, and he tries to input humor. And it works. It works so well. He knows his subject matter. He knows his audience. He knows that I'm going to laugh because if you're planning to drink a wine that is known for time manipulation, you'll get a hangover before you drink it, and afterwards you'll feel high, which is a bit strange. Very strange, let me put it that way. And many other things about Terry Pratchett make these series an interesting read. This book in particular, Night Watch, is probably my favorite of all of them, which is a big statement to me. But even this deals with time travel, people, how they change during a revolution, and the importance of holding your ground and holding your morals. Something that, of course, people have trouble with all the time. And I just love that Terry Pratchett has this open eye to all of these things. And he does them with gusto. Does them with an amazing sense of style. There is an amazing article I read about how he comes up with these, and the important thing to note is he's a very famous author, but only in very select circles. Mostly because he does go on the rather strange side. Not probably Rick and Morty strange, but still on the pretty strange side. And that's probably why you don't hear too much about Terry Pratchett. But he has shown his great appreciation of the arts, ability to unfold stories for teenagers, for adults, for little children, because he's actually won awards for the story of The Amazing Maurice. And it just shows the level of talent that he's got. It's quite a shame that he's no longer with us and he died of Alzheimer's. But he has a legacy, maybe 30, 40 years long, of writing such great classics, such great ideas of what it means to be a human, what it means to fight, what it means to change yourself, what it means to die, what it means to hold your ground, morals, become good, and sometimes laugh, because sometimes things just become very ridiculous and you just have to laugh. I wish there was more, obviously, but then again, there's 40 books. If you ever want one, I can suggest that the Discworld series is one of those series that each and every single book is a standalone experience. Of course, it'll help if you know certain things about Book A and Book B and how they interrelate to each other. But honestly, you can pick them up like one book and never touch the others. That's probably the masterpiece of his way of thinking. It all comes together in a single world, but none of these stories ever have to connect, and it only gets better from there. Anyway, this is Extreme Wirehead, and I hope you liked this week's topic. This is a very close topic to me.